Good. It must be afternoon by now. Yeah, it's 12:53 and it's sweltering in Kloof. Whoo-hoo. It's warm. I have got something that I want to share with you, but I was hoping to find it on a link. Oh, man. Let's see whether this opens up for me, but I'm pretty certain it won't. Oh, it did. Can you believe it? Well, that's excellent, man. Okay. As you may know, in recent days I've made 2 videos in which I've used the title Argumentum a Minore ad Maius, which means to conduct an argument, which is not the same as a dispute. Argument is when you argue for something. So when you conduct an argument using the principle of illustrating something very big with a small example that does a better job of being clear and indisputable. I'm trying to think of a good illustration. Yesterday I gave the illustration of a marriage that looks good but which has some profound flaw in it, in just one, small part of the marriage that is prohibitive. Let's say you and I were flying in a plane and I said to you, that forest down there is in dire state, it's going to die, it's terrible, 1 million trees. And you say, oh dear me, it looks good to me, aren't you exaggerating a little bit? And we landed and got out of our little aeroplane and strolled across the field and into the forest, and I took you to the first tree and I showed you a severe blight and said, if you can see this, then you can understand a minore, from the small, ad maius, to the large, that all of these trees are going to die. All of this big beautiful organism. That's just one example I can give you. But as far as the body of South Africa is concerned, we made a video a couple of days ago where we used in these a minore terms as our example. What was the first one? It was the AVBOB, the funeral parlor in Delareyville that had a standby generator for blackouts, but no diesel for the generator, and so the bodies rotted in the mortuary. And one woman, when she was buried, or when the service was held for her, elderly lady, the church filled with flies, allegedly. That's all you could see, was what the witness stated. All you could see was flies. That's how rotten she was in that coffin. So it must have gone on like that for days. Can you just imagine? Anyway, then we did another one in which we spoke about things like the air traffic and navigation services communication system over the area between South Africa and the Antarctic. Not exactly the world's busiest highway, but still, in strategic terms, very important. It broke down. What can you do? We spoke about, you should watch the video if you appreciate this story, the story that my dad was told by an owner, one of the 2 owners of the largest air services company in Africa. So a man who would know about the dispute between South Africa and America over dropping the pass mark in the SAA training college. And the Americans say, there's no way you can do that. You can't flying jumbo jets into New York, who got 38% for their maths, 16% for their crosswinds exam or whatever it is. Heavens above. Hey, they are. Anyway, so today's story is the state of weather monitoring in South Africa. Now, I don't know, man. It doesn't appeal to me to slander the new South Africa Rainbow Nation, but it's part of my job. My job is to communicate with the outside world. I get paid a salary by Mr. Miller for a full-time work of communicating with the outside world. Now, it's not something you can do every moment of every day. So I communicate also internally with you guys through these videos and through some very good WhatsApp groups, though I say it myself. And I have to tell the truth of everything that's going on. But yes, you can get sick and tired of talking about these fools. The state of weather monitoring in South Africa. Out of 14 radars owned and operated by the South African Weather Service, only 15 are currently online. What is that? That's 35%. Only 5 are currently online. Oh, 9 divided by 15 times 100 over 1 equals... What? Of the 14, Simon, man. %, just over a third, 36%. So 64% we're about to discover, apparently, are not operating. Is that the case? Some very important radars for monitoring severe weather during this. Oh, okay, they then talk about the weather circumstances on a certain day that this was published in December. What an embarrassment that this is a World Meteorological Organization certified institution. The Weather Service will ignore this post, hide their heads in the sand like ostriches, and hope the problem will go. So we're talking about the South African Weather Service, it must be. Here is the current status as of Sunday, the 11th of December 2022 at 26 minutes past 2 in the afternoon. Bloemfontein, offline since 4 minutes past 10 on Sunday the 11th. Bethlehem, offline since 20 past 9 on Sunday the 11th. Cape Town, offline since the 3rd of July. Durban, offline since the 15th of September. De Aar, showing a most recent date of the 10th of January 2013. Oh, man. You know what makes it for me especially bad is if you consider the size of South Africa, and there are only 14 radars, I beg your pardon, not radars. They're great big round balls, spherical radars. There's a photograph of one here. Huge thing. Those have to serve an area that's large. I mean, if you think of the De Aar one, that would, I'm just looking at the geography, that would serve everything from, let's say the N1 westward through De Aar to the west coast. And kind of half, okay, in fact I can figure this out quite well. From the Orange River, most of the way to Cape Town. They haven't had a radar service for that entire region, but they give us a weather report at night. Now, no two ways about it, there are other means, doubtless, of picking up certain information, not necessarily everything that the radar can do, because this person writes, there's other stuff that they write about, makes it clear that the radars are important, the radars should be working, the radars are a necessity. So, granted, they can use satellites and weathercocks and barometers, high pressure cell incoming, thermometers. But just imagine the radar service missing from the south of the Orange River to halfway to Cape Town, and from the west coast to Colesberg or beyond. Excuse me, it's very warm. Ermelo, offline since the 9th of December. East London, online. George, offline since an unknown date. Irene, outside Pretoria, online. Polokwane, offline since the 5th of December. Port Elizabeth, offline since an unknown date. Mthatha, online. Skukuza, online. Ottosdal, online. And this person writes about how they've endeavored to address this matter for years and years. So I think it's safe to say that where you read there that, or hear that it's only been offline since that morning, in the case of Bloemfontein and Bethlehem, and only since the 5th of December, in the case of Polokwane, the 9th of December, in the case of Ermelo. You might think to yourself, well, maybe they had some hiccups. It's only a couple of weeks, not the end of the world. But you know that some have been off since 2013, and some going back so far that there's no record. The computer is not generating a record, most recent record. It's lost in the mists. Maybe, probably, possibly. But clearly this person talks. They must know what they're talking about. They speak with authority. And they've endeavored to debate this with the South African Weather Service for years, but it is just fruitless and a waste of time. And that is the example of today's argumentum a minore, from the smallest, ad Maius, to the large, to the major. I don't know, what can you say? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video. As I've said on a number of occasions, if it is the Lord's will, we will produce many more videos during the course of this year, now that we have sorted out software and hardware and this problem and that problem, the never-ending list of hiccups that has plagued our video production over the past period. Okie dokie, everybody. Goodbye, and God bless all of you. Cheerio.